Hello, Warriors. How you doing, Michael, Bran, team? How's it going?
Morning, Coach.
How are you, Blake? Ryan?
Morning, Sir Coach.
How are you?
All good, mate. You?
Okay, so why don't we start off with cable strength? Any reason for it?
Sticky inflation, my friend. Same story all over. We saw headline inflation falling to 6.8% from 7.8% or 7.9% as expected, but the core stayed unchanged at 6.9%. Was expected to fall a bit. So still sticky. That's the theme everywhere at the moment.
I think there's a shot for 29 if we could get through this moving average here. It's been a 150 pip move about here. Take it to 29, which is where I'll be looking to, trade a failing rally on the daily. It could be a right shoulder, could be a descending triangle, but that's what I'd be looking for. So Euro really dragging its butt around, but if we're going to 29, there's probably something left there. New Zealand Central Bank, what'd they do, Ryan?
They stayed on hold. Their forecast indicated them the possibility of a hike, but then Governor Orr came out and said that forecast wasn't forward guidance or a precursor for another hike. But they remain on pause.
Don't tell me that technicals don't work because, yesterday we came right back to the breakout again and then put in this candle. So you definitely know, around this 102.80 level, we start taking it out, a correction could begin. So it still amazes me after all these years how some of these lines are respected and get rejected. Okay, so to me, that's a feature. I still think I'm going to have a chance to add to long dollar positions down here. Maybe I'm wrong. Silver's trying to turn the corner, but really, needs some type of pullback in the end. And just one last thing, and then I want to just turn it over to you. We finally got to this real important level in the S&P. It almost looks like a trend break, but you know how they could fool you with, sometimes you have to wait for a couple closes under a channel line before you really give it credence. Blake, do you believe that? Couple closes, or just go with the first one?
Oh, and I think in this market, I would think a couple closes. I'm not convinced that we're going to see downside just yet in equities. We're on the cusp, but if you look at the Dow is at the breakout point. That's the other, it's like you got to get in the slow market, you kind of got to get every market moving at once. And you can see the Dow is just, has fallen right to the breakout point. It's just kind of sitting there. So,
okay. And even more important to me than this trend line on the S&Ps is this wedge line, which held here before the rally to new highs, and that's coming in 44.20-ish. So that would open up the door for, I think, at least 4,200 if we get back under here. But if the dollar would just relent, I think you could see some pressure taken off a risk. So I want to bring Kman in. You doing anything with US dollar yen here? Good morning, buddy.
If I do anything?
Are you doing anything with the yen?
Not right here, but forces to admit that despite pretty strong numbers, this thing is still trucking on. Couple of reasons, probably that seen already those, as we were talking about, those pension funds already stepping into the JGB market, and we are not even at 75 basis points or so. And perhaps this market is now starting to think, okay, let's see when the MOF is really starting to get nervous. So any uptick in dollars is perhaps a good reason and to try and buy the dollar yen. And yen is still weak against the rest. There's still those big interest rate differentials. Tough to fight it. I'm not fighting it. I will see what happens in those mid to high 146s if we get there, but it's still tough to fight this. I'm not short yen, but I don't want to be long yen either, you know, because it just costs too much money too quickly.
Okay. Euro yen not confirming on the daily. Let's take a look on the 4 hour. Maybe a 3 drive developing here. I think this could be a potential sell.
Yeah.
Guppy, let's look at Guppy. It's stronger. I see no sell there.
Very strong. I think you need to euro yen. You need to first get back below 158 and then see what happens then.
Okay. Aussie yen. I don't know.
Different than different. I think the antipodians and Canada yen are a bit different than the rest of those yen crosses because you're looking at oil and then possible breaks on commodities or perhaps on the equity markets. You know, those are slightly different crosses versus yen at least.
Look how long the Euro Aussie has been grinding up here. Here's your last confirmed high. That's August 3rd. So we've been running, well, a couple of weeks, making successive higher highs and making successive lower lows in the RSI. So if you've been working that one, that looks like a possible top pick. Anyway, who else is here? So, okay, it's the 4 of us. Any feel for what's going on in WTI? Came off pretty good in the last few days. It's trying to hold a big round number here at this $80 level.
Yeah, I think 80 is it's the 79.80 because once you break that, or if we break that, we already broke the ascending trend line. The problem is if we start breaking that 79.80, then we start creating lower lows. And then, you know, lower lows lead to lower highs usually, and then you got a trend change completely. So I think that's what is on everybody's radar right now. You know, it's summer. You don't want to force things to happen, but there are things that are developing, and I think that's one of them. Okay, which is, you know, is what's happening in crude. I think Kman, you know, makes a great point. You know, there are commodities that are starting to show some weakness. If you look at copper, copper is on its ascending trend line that's been developed for the last few months, and it actually had a false upside breakout several weeks ago, and now we're back at support. If that breaks, you know, it's probably going to end up weighing on the Aussie and the Kiwi a little. Yeah. I tweeted that Dr. Copper is being sued for malpractice for impersonating a bull market. That tweet only works in a litigious society like ours, buddy. Yeah. Anyway, the doctor needs a nurse. So anyway, what else you see developing, Blake? Well, you know, if you want, I can take the charts. Yeah. You know, I guess I want to start off and chat with the gents in the European hours. And first of all, I guess I should really start off by saying congratulations, England, making the playoffs with Spain. I didn't think that I could catch games live, you know, so I ended up catching the last, you know, 20 minutes of the World Cup there, Women's World Cup. So congratulations to the Lionesses for making the finals. They're going to be up against Spain. It's pretty exciting. So congratulations to you guys, Ryan and Kman. That's pretty exciting stuff. So when's the game? When's the final match?
Sunday, I think.
Sunday. All right, Sunday it is. All right, so that's going to be awesome. So congratulations. Let's talk about this inflation data that came out of the UK overnight. How are you guys feeling there in living in living in the UK?
Oh, we're just about surviving, I think. Kay, are you surviving over there?
No, I mean, the sun is shining. We're just happy.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, as soon as the sun shines here, it's the best country to live in. The rest we don't really care.
I tell you, and I'm obviously a little jaded here. We live with 300 days of sun every year. So I really get happy when it's cloudy, which is, once in a while, it gets cloudy and you're like, yes. So it's funny to imagine the other way around, but I get it. But as far as the UK inflation data goes, are you guys feeling it? Is it feeling like just very sticky over there?
Yes and no. Prices move. It doesn't matter. You got if you want to eat, you got to buy food. So it doesn't really impact that much. I'm not looking and checking prices every 5 minutes. But it's gone the way that I said it was going to go even before the June reading. I said this month will be the one where it tips off, and headline inflation's tipped off. The core is going to be sticky. But as long as the run continues low in the headline, the core will likely catch up. There's been big impacts, energy price cuts. We've obviously have started to feel the impact from lower oil prices over the last year, although some places they're ticking up again at the petrol pumps. Food inflation, as Simon's mentioned there in the chat, 14%, but it's coming down. The rate of rises is coming down. For the Bank of England, they'll be more worried about the wage situation rather than inflation right now, though they will be looking at that core, because those wages early in the week being pretty strong. They won't want that to continue, because that will potentially bring a second round of inflation pressures.
Yeah. Let's hope it doesn't. We're probably facing the same type of issue here in the US. I want to turn everybody's attention over to these some of the pound pairs. You got the pound New Zealand up against channel resistance. The RBNZ rate, keeping rates unchanged. That kind of stopped the at least near term the Kiwi weakness. So you had the pound New Zealand reach channel resistance today, as we were expecting. You see the pound Aussie actually reach for the 618 retracement today. We actually hit that almost to a T. We're actually at it right now, and just kind of knocked our head up against it real close yesterday, and then today really just kind of hit it. And Dale, you were pointing out that hey, maybe stocks bounce here, and if they do, the pound Aussie might be a good risk reward counter trend. Taking it back a little bit lower from here. I don't know if I'd want to do that, but I'm just saying that we're up against good resistance. You look at the Euro Aussie, we completed a bull flag pattern. I would say today is pretty damn close. Euro Kiwi is also up against channel resistance and 161% extension. So if these commodity currencies are going to turn, you would think today is the day, but we do have, I think something a little bit more important today, which is going to be the FOMC meeting minutes. I know we have like building permits. The data that's coming out, I believe it's building permits. Then we have industrial production, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just confirm that. Building permits, housing starts, industrial production. And look, I think the housing data, building starts and housing and housing starts, I believe both are going to be fairly strong. Inventory is low, and I think that you're going to see it curbed here with some housing starts, at least a little bit better, because the inventory is so low around the country that I think builders are taking advantage of that. But the industrial production numbers, that's going to be a little bit of a risk. Obviously, the FOMC meeting minutes today are going to be really important, because I have to imagine that the FOMC members, the commentary that we're going to get is not necessarily we beat inflation, but probably some fairly hawkish commentary on the US's fight against high inflation.
Growth.
What's that?
Now it's growth.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what we're going to be focused on, but the FOMC members are going to be probably relatively hawkish on inflation. So what do you think? What do you think here, Kman? Do you think that we're going to have some movement following the FOMC meeting minutes today?
I think personally it's going to be a complete non-event. Yeah,
it's going to be a summer non-event.
I usually look forward to something, but we heard everything from all the speakers already. I don't know what they can say, what we can find differently in the meeting minutes. Really, well, this is now my personal view. It's not going to change anything at all.
Yeah. Okay. So you're not really looking for anything. How about you, Ryan?
You've always got to be ready for a comment that you haven't heard, but I'm pretty much in agreement with Kman. The media blitz that Fed heads do these days, all central banks do these days, make these minutes a bit pointless now and again. Same with the RBA, same with all of them, really. We hear from all these people 30 times a day. It loses interest after the 8th time of hearing Bostic saying that he wants to keep rates on hold. But yeah, there's always a risk. A risk is a risk, no matter how small.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you, Dale. Dale, what are you looking for as far as the equity markets go here? Because, I got that. Let me just really quickly just give everybody a quick view of this. So here's the S&P. We are below last week's low. And that was really worrying to me, that if we broke below last week's low, which was the 618 retracement, which is the 4470, it's going to be a little bit of downside pressure, because we are now, if you look at the 50 DMA, we closed below it. We're staying below it. Even overnight, we couldn't get a rally past it. I look at the European markets like the DAX. The DAX is barely holding that 15.7 level, which is, in my opinion, a very, very big pivot level for the German DAX. But you can see the S&P is kind of breaking down. The NASDAQ 100 also below the 50 DMA, below an ascending trend line. The Dow is like the last bit of hope as far as I'm concerned here, and we are holding the breakout point, but barely. So equity markets look a little bit, wobbly. What are you thinking here, Dale?
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm thinking. I mean, I think 4,200 is a battleground. I think that the market looks ugly, but you could always pull a 1-2 day rally out of it. It's going to take some dollar weakness for that to happen. But I think that the top we're putting in is at least good for a correction to 4,200 and possibly the March lows, since that's where the other trend line is if you use the March low. So I'm pretty bearish, and it's finally starting to happen. VIX is looking better. The banks, what I expect to hear in the Fed minutes is that we're on target for causing a confidence crisis in our financial system. So that's what I think they're up to anyway. And, I hear Jim Walsh doesn't think they'll tighten anymore in the last interview. We'll see. They really don't have any really big justification to be tightening again, because we're just starting to feel the effects now from what they started over a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the other thing, right? If we start to see the economy weaken, yet the Fed leaves rates at these high levels, that is a form of tightening. Right. It is.
Because we're restrictive now, I believe.
We are, and we're allowing the balance sheet to roll off a little bit. So that's going to keep, it's going to, obviously keep some downside pressure on equities. You say that equities are, close to rolling over. And I would say, here's the channel that we've been monitoring forever. You can see it's very light blue. That would take us all the way down towards the 200-day moving average, if towards 4,200 if we really start to roll over. You know, I think the big test is going to be at 4,300. It's going to be right here. You can see that that was the previous 618 retracement. I think this is going to be a really big level right through here. You know, and you know, we might set that trap door. Remember, selling may go away. Well, that would have been right here, you know, somewhere right around there. So
Right.
I think that we could very easily see these levels. And that's the one thing that I wanted to say, Ryan, because Ryan, you know, jumped in our chat room this morning, and you know, here, just so you guys can see the ForexAnalytix chat room. Here's something that he put up this morning when I woke up. Ryan, you want to explain this a little bit?
Yeah, that's talking about dollar CAD. I know a lot of us in the room are all long, and we all picked up more longs yesterday in that dip on the CPI data.
Yep.
I'm getting a bit nervy that we're not cracking this 135 area. You know, if our chat room's any indication of the amount of people long this one, it could be a bit of floodgates if everyone decides to throw in a towel because we're not breaking it.
Yeah. So I think you're exactly right. We got to be watching the dollar Canadian very carefully. I'm long, I know, you know, but you know, plenty of people are long in our chat room. We've just been kind of sitting long. The nice thing about the dollar Canadian is it hasn't pulled back. You know, we haven't seen much of a pullback. You can see the 200-day moving average comes in right around 134.50, 134.60. Dips are limited to the 200 DMA. Crude oil is finally starting to show some signs of weakness. So let me go over to crude really quick. We're starting to show that's the sign of weakness as we've broken through some ascending trend lines. And you know what I'm looking for right now is just a break below 79.80, or it's $80, you know, right there. That spike low right there. We start breaking below that, then I'll get more excited about the dollar Canadian. But as long as equities stay weak, crude oil stays weak, I'm going to stay with the dollar Canadian. You have any further thoughts there?
Moi?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much the same.
Okay.
I'm looking for a break. I've got a buy stop in at just above 135. But I'm getting a bit nervous. If we don't break up here soon, I think we'll probably see 134, maybe even worse on a pullback.
All right, very good. You know, one of the other things that I wanted to, I tweeted this yesterday. And Dale, you're gonna like this one. Did I? Oh no, you didn't see this. Because we weren't on together. So here's the VIX, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Here's the dollar max.
Same thing. Yeah.
Identical charts. So
yeah,
you know, if volatility gets above 18 to 20. I would assume that's going to be the catalyst that drives the dollar max above 1740 at this point. So, or 1750, 1745 actually. But that's really, you know, the catalyst for me that's going to, you know, get me aggressively long the dollar max is, you know, seeing volatility.
It's going to happen. Higher. I think there's a chance, and I think there's a chance in these thin market conditions that we could have a little mini crash before the end of the month.
A mini crash?
Into
you
next
think a
week.
Flash crash is possible? It's been a long time since we've seen one of those.
Yeah, I think the market's set up for it.
So why do you say that?
Breaking down. Why?
Yeah.
Breaking down into a thin liquidity environment, I think is the reason. Look at TLT. That's another reason. Now we're worried about a shutdown again. I thought we took care of it in October, that they have to come up with some kind of measure so that, you know, they don't have to shut down the government in October. I just think the market is set up the faster it went up parabolic. What happens after parabolic advances? And that's what we had in June and July.
Yields literally just took off. Are you guys watching what's happening in yields here? I mean, it's obviously put a little giddy up and go in the dollar.
And look at TLT, man. We're going to new lows.
Hold on. Schumer said, I met with House Speaker McCarthy a few weeks back, and we agreed to do a resolution to fund the government for a few months. That's via MSNBC interview. So that was Schumer talking about.
Well, that's the market saying we don't believe you.
Yeah, I mean, that's yields
Isn't
are
it?
ripping, bonds,
Yeah.
bonds are pulling back. So what do you think about those comments, Ryan?
Yeah, it looks like crisis averted, perhaps, according to that. But yeah, I mean, we got a real big pop up in yield yesterday, didn't we? Right on the data, and then that got hit pretty hard, almost like it got vertigo when it got up to 427s. So yeah, I won't chase this move just yet, but let's see what the dollar does. Stocks don't like it for starters. A little bit lower in the S&P. Only talking
Mini
a few
crash coming.
but dollar's ticking up, dollar yen new high. So yeah, keep an eye on it.
Yeah, so I was going into back to the way back. The dollar yen when it sold off that intervention day, the highs that day was 162 or 146.60. So of that day. And it looks like we can go back up and see that level. The butterfly completion comes in around 148. So it looks like the dollar yen wants to make its way up there without any interference from the BOJ or the Ministry of Finance. It looks like we might be cleared to do so. The dollar index is pushing higher after that headline from McCarthy and Schumer. So yeah, looks like the dollar's getting a little bit of giddy up here. Hey, I want to ask go ahead.
Yeah, on that dollar yen, there's two things. You pointed out the 105. I said about that 146 mid yesterday, right? And
Yeah, you did.
The shows. If you take a trend line from where you started there, and then you go over your X, that's likely going to take you into that 146.5 as well. Right now, and also that is that the drop that started there, besides intervention, is when US CPI started to turn around. So I think that level is important enough. The 146 meets 146 3/4.
Yeah, it looks like we want to make our way up there.
Yeah.
It really does. It looks like it wants to continue to grind. So thanks, Kman. And maybe my channel just needs to be adjusted a little bit, and which happens all the time because technical analysis is more of an art and it's not an exact science. Because if it was an exact science, we'd all be gazillionaires, right, Dale?
The art of trading is the when, not the if.
Right. There you go. Hey, one of the other things I wanted to ask you guys, because let me make sure I got his name correctly. Horacio, did I say that correctly? He asked, is there any fundamental reason to be long the Aussie? And my answer to that question is, I don't believe so. The Aussie's trading very weak unless we get some huge surge out of commodities, which I don't foresee, but I think the Aussie would be finding some sort of low at that point. But right now, I think the Aussie is going to be weighed down by what's happening in China, and also technically, I mean, we're on the verge of breaking some pretty key support here. So I think the Aussie continues to trade heavy, and that's with risk trading at current levels. And I think if you start to see a move lower in the S&P, and let's say Dale's correct, we correct to 4,300 in the S&P, I would assume that the Aussie trades back down towards 60 cents. Here would be 62 cents, maybe down to 60 cents. You look at the Kiwi as well. The Kiwi, it looks like we're in an elevator shaft right now. We can't even get our head back above 60 cents. And you can see this is a lot of open air down here in the Kiwi. We have some distance to go to get to some key fib levels. So what are your thoughts, Ryan, about these commodity currencies?
It's walking in line, isn't it? CAD's, Aussie dollars walking in line with commodities. I mentioned at the beginning of the week, I think we need to pay a lot of attention to commodities at the moment. What's going on in wheat with the Ukraine grain deal, Russia grain deal, India with the rice banning of exports. We've had this move up in oil. So I think commodities are going to take a big, can become a big part of what we're going to see in FX, because obviously the commodity FX is going to be moving on it, Aussie dollar in particular. Add that into China as well, like you're looking at their copper. You know, you wouldn't have a reason to buy copper right now with what's going on in China, nor what's going on in manufacturing globally as well. So yeah, for commodity currencies, more feeding off commodities rather than what other FX is doing, or the other side.
Any comment on China easing? Was really not telegraphed. Is there some panic happening by the PBOC doing that, or what? What do you think, Kman?
I think they really needed to do something, and they were starting to feel the heat, because if your local economy is not doing well, fine, but if then all your developers and your wealth managers start to have problems, then you really need to do something pronto, right? Next week, loan prime rate decision, I reckon they are going to cut there as well. But they are not yet in full-on panic mode. Otherwise, there may be some bigger stuff coming, like just taking over the crap, you know. So, but for as long as this goes on, there's absolutely zero reason to be long.
So that rumor of suspension of payments by those two big developers is still being denied.
No. They say they delayed them, but they just didn't pay. I think it's a fact. There's no denial there, and there's another 22 repayments that haven't been done overnight. So this is not a rumor. It's just it's there. It's a fact.
Okay. Yeah, and look at the US dollar CNH. I know you guys talk about it quite a bit. Ryan, I think you talked about it on the trade-off show that you did with Michael Brown this week. Yeah, and that it looks. I mean, the dollar CNH looks like it. I know it. I call it the other lever that the China has, and looks like they're yanking on that one a little bit. Hey, we just had the data come out really quick. I'll pull up the housing starts came in, basically in line, a little bit better than expected. Building permits a little worse than expected, but not you would kind of expect that. We will have industrial production a little bit later, and then the FOMC meeting minutes. But it's a summer day. Right now, it's obviously the summer market's a little slow. If we don't get any get up and go from the FOMC meeting minutes, I have a feeling that all of you guys in the UK will be leaving us for a nice, sunny evening in the UK. So,
hey, Blake, I was just thinking, and by the way, Chris had his mother's ill, so he had to cancel that Mexican peso chart you just had up there.
Oh yeah.
Look at where the top was in October of last year. I mean, that last chart you had up there, and we're approaching it. What else happened when it topped?
Are you talking about US dollar CNH?
Yeah. It's almost back at the October highs. And that's when the stock market bottomed. Okay. So here we are. Probably a lot of people thought, early in the year, in the spring, that we weren't going to be seeing those highs being taken out. Yeah. So I'm just saying that's where there was stress then at those levels, and that was a low in the market. So if this could retrace to the October lows, why can't the market?
That's a fair point. And I think that's one of the things that if you continue to see CNH weaken, it's like, I was on a podcast a couple of weeks ago with Tracy and a Shy Girl and a couple other people about the CNH, saying, hey, look, this is China's way of trying to spur some exports globally. Let's reinvigorate the buy Chinese stuff again, and that could happen if you see equity markets under pressure. You could see the US dollar CNH rallying. So I don't disagree with you.
And the yen topped last year.
That's when the US CPI started to turn as well, and then
Yeah, see,
and your
so I
and then
mean,
your equities rally, and then
right. So
but then
I'm
at the same time there were dollar yen interventions that already put a little bit of pressure on that dollar CNH probably. So
yeah.
that's when
But
it all
anyway, they're back to, when the market was, the yen's almost back to that, level 2.
yeah.
So something, there's got to be a reversion to the mean in some way with the market, because a lot of things are back to where they were when things looked ugly.
Yeah. Well, you don't have a guest today.
No.
And I do want to say that Stelios, Ryan, and myself will be on with we're going to be on a Twitter Spaces in
Oh, those are
about
cool.
2.5 hours. Yeah, I've never been on a Twitter Spaces before. I don't
Yeah.
even know what to expect. But we'll be on with Shy Girl talking about in their place your trades podcast. So we're going to be on that a little bit later today. So we'll be looking forward to that. And I want to say, everybody, enjoy your summer today, and enjoy.
Yeah,
your
I don't
summer
want to bum
today.
everyone out. I hope I didn't bum everyone out.
Oh, you totally bummed me out.
Oh man,
Is it going to be a big space? There's lots of us there.
yeah.
What's that?
It's a cube. It's a cube.
This Twitter space, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a big space, hopefully, because I don't want to smell your BO, Ryan. That's what I'm trying to avoid.
Oh, that's awful.
Tag me. I'll retweet the event. Tag me.
All right, we'll do.
All right,
We'll
guys.
do. I'll tweet you in a little bit. All right, guys. Well, I want to say have a great day, everybody. Congratulations once again to England for making it in the finals. It's going to be a great match on Sunday, and want to say good luck trading every day. And check out ForexAnalytix. We'll see you in the chat rooms, and I'll see you guys on the Morning Edge. Those of you in the ForexAnalytix community, I'll see you on the Morning Edge in about 40 minutes or so.
Thank you, team. Thank you, Kman, Ryan, Blake.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Ryan, Kman.
I think. Anyway, guys, don't discount your
Good
blessings.
night, John boy.
Be safe out there. See you
All right.
guys in spaces.
Cheers.